wanted to ask you, Meher, that since you have been in the environment sector now for so long, what are some of the changes you have seen? Like what was happening 3 decades ago and what's happening now in terms of the way the problems were defined? Have they been feminized over the years? How are they being looked at now?
महर, मैं आपसे पूछना चाहूँगी कि आप क्योंकि बहुत अरसे से माहौलियाती शोबे से वाबस्ता हैं, तो आप क्या तब्दीली देखती हैं?
I think, Simi, in the past, the changes that I have seen is that how, well, when we started, it was women's issues, then it became women in development issues. Environment was also sort of looked at more in abstract terms. But gradually over time that has changed, and we're much more focused now in terms of understanding the role of women, which in the past there wasn't that. The sort of first 10, 12 years was really trying to understand what do women do, what are their roles. But now that's very clear. We all know what women do. They are the managers of the natural resource. We know the role women play. We know how important their role is. There is a greater understanding, a deeper understanding. And I think that has led to the change both in the environment field as well as in terms of action, in terms of projects, in terms of programs, in terms of gender mainstreaming, the greater understanding of women's role within the environment and the close association with women and natural resources, and how women are dependent on natural resources, how they manage them, how climate change has affected women. Specifically, as they say, climate change is not gender neutral, and women do have a greater burden to play. They are the first who are affected by climate change, because as water becomes scarcer, as we've seen just now in Balochistan and what Granaz said, it's the women that have to walk further afield. They're the ones who have less time to do anything else because they're looking for water, whether it's fuel, fodder, water, any of the natural resources. And similarly, the alarming increase and linkages between gender-based violence and climate change. This is something that is now emerging. And it's coming across globally, regionally, and at a local level, and there is a lot of research being done on it at the moment in terms of the link between climate change and then gender-based violence, which was a link that was not seen before, but now it's coming out. And it's also because of climate change, which affects incomes and how that is affecting incomes of households, and therefore it affects the psyche within the household, and the violence escalates, and how women then bear the brunt of that. So I think in terms of the changes, Simi, there is a lot more awareness. There's a lot more awareness that has been created, partly because of the women's movements, and not only just the women's movement, but also women in the environment sector, and how many more women have come into that sector. And so therefore a greater understanding, awareness, knowledge, and gender mainstreaming at all levels. So there has been a change. We need to build on that. Yeah. And the building on that comes from what we're doing today in terms of articulation, bringing in more women, making all our voices heard from the rural areas, from our sections of society, and the youth. A lot of young people, and there's so much more happening today in terms of climate activism, bringing women's voices, the youth in that. Seema, for your articulation of your dream, of what you think where women should be in the future. Zareen, thank you for the way you moderated the first part of the session. And we know now the numbers of leaders, or the number of women in leadership positions has grown. We've seen that. But as Simi mentioned, we need to be more forceful. We need to be there at all different levels. And I think what we've also highlighted is that the need for a new feminist social contract. That was brought up also by one of our earlier speakers. So just in conclusion, I would just say thank you. We've had a very interesting discussion today. It's the end of our 5th webinar series for Hisar Foundation. It's been a pleasure to be here, and I think that's a basic summary of what we heard today. So thank you to our panelists and all our participants. Thank you. I'll hand over to Sanaa for her closing.
30 साल पहले और अब में क्या फ़र्क है? जब हमने शुरू किया इस वक्त ख़वातीन के मसाइल थे, मगर अब ये तब्दील हो गया है। माहौलियाती तब्दीली में औरतों के किरदार पर बात करना अब ज़रूरी हो गया है। کیسے عورتیں قدرتی وسائل کا استعمال کرتی ہیں، کیسے ان کو قدرتی وسائل کے مسائل کا سامنا ہے، اس پر بہت کام ہو رہا ہے کہ ماحولیاتی تبدیلی اور صنعتی مساوات کا آپس میں کیا تعلق ہے، کیسے یہ تبدیلی لوگوں کی آمدنی پر اثر انداز ہو رہی ہے اور کیسے گھر کے معاملات اور نفسیات اس سے متاثر ہو رہے ہیں، کیسے پھر گھریلو تشدد میں اضافہ ہوتا جا رہا ہے اور عورتیں اس سے متاثر ہوتی ہیں۔ لہٰذا اب آخر میں زرین اور مہر آپ کا بھی بہت شکریہ کہ اتنی اچھی طرح آگاہی میں اضافہ ہوا ہے، خواتین کی تحریک کی وجہ سے بھی اور خواتین کے اس شعبے میں شمولیت کی وجہ سے بھی تو تبدیلی آتی ہے اور اس پر مزید کام کرنے کی ضرورت ہے۔ مزید کام ایسے ہوگا کہ مزید خواتین کو اس شعبے میں لایا جائے، ان کو آگاہی دی جائے اور ان کی آواز سنی جائے۔ نوجوانوں کو بھی اس حوالے سے آگے لانے کی ضرورت ہے۔ سیما بہت بہت شکریہ اپنے خواب ہم تک پہنچانے کے لیے۔ زرین آپ کا بھی شکریہ کہ اس سیشن کا حصہ بنی، اور جیسا کہ سیمی نے کہا کہ ہمیں مزید طاقتور اور مضبوط ہونا پڑے گا۔ آخر میں سب کا شکریہ ادا کرنا چاہوں گی۔ آج ہمارا آخری ویبینار تھا۔ ثنا، اب آپ اختتام میں کچھ کہنا چاہیں تو کہیں۔
So, with this interesting and delightful session, we conclude the 5th Karachi International Water Conference webinar series, Climate Change and Pandemic, Impact on Water. It gives me great pleasure today to thank the people behind the scenes, without whose support this webinar would not have been possible. Thank you to our presenters for today, Aisha Khan, who reminded us that women are not just affectees of the climate crisis, but they can take over the conversation. Simi Kamal for her inspiring presentation and showing us that women are already in leadership positions. And Dr. Fazilda Nabil for her insightful presentation. It reminded me of Erin Brockovich and Lake Diva. Thank you to our panelists, Seema Tahir Khan and Granaz Balot, for sharing their experiences and knowledge with us. Thanks to our moderators, Zareen Bakir and Meher Makanor Shirwani, for curating and moderating today's session seamlessly. You know, I just want to add here that we had an all-women panel, and we have all women behind this webinar series. We really get things done, and we do things on time. I would like to thank our lead sponsor, Engro Foundation. Engro Foundation has been supporting the Karachi International Water Conferences since 2015. A big thank you to all our sponsors, International Water Management Institute Pakistan, HANDS, and WWF Pakistan, for their support and contributions towards our webinar series. A very, very big thank you to our media partners, Airwaves Media Group, led by Seema Tahir Khan, who we are indebted to, which includes TV1, News1, FM 91, and Wasep TV, for coverage of our webinars on TV, radio, and social media. Thank you to Zohair Rashid. I'm not sure if he's here or not, but thank you to Zohair Rashid, the visionary behind the Karachi International Water Conference. It was his dream in 2013, and today we are 5 conferences strong. Thank you to Simi Kamal, the chairperson and CEO of Hisar Foundation, and a constant source of guidance and support to all of us, and as she knows, my biggest mentor. A special thank you to all my colleagues at Hisar Foundation, but especially to Faria O'Kelly, who is the pulse behind this webinar series, and Sameen Huda for supporting the Secretariat and all the designing that she's done. Finally, thank you to all of you, our audience, for your participation and engaging questions. And we hope to see all of you at the 6th Karachi International Water Conference in 2023. Thank you so much.
آپ تمام معاونین کا شکریہ جن کے تعاون کے بغیر یہ ویبینار ممکن نہیں تھا۔ ہمارے تمام پریزنٹرز کا شکریہ، عائشہ خان جنہوں نے ہمیں یاد دلایا کہ عورتیں ماحولیاتی تبدیلی کا محض شکار نہیں ہیں بلکہ یہ اس کے حل کے لیے بھی کام کر سکتی ہیں، سیمی کمال کا جنہوں نے بہت متاثر کن پریزنٹیشن دی اور بتایا کہ عورتیں اقتدار کی پوری صلاحیت رکھتی ہیں، بہت شکریہ، فضلدہ نبیل جنہوں نے ہمیں بہت اچھی پریزنٹیشن دی، بہت شکریہ سیما طاہر اور گرناز بلوچ اپنے تجربات ہم سے بانٹنے کے لیے۔ آخر میں زرین اور مہر آپ کا بھی بہت شکریہ کہ اتنی اچھی طرح آپ نے اس پروگرام کی میزبانی کی۔ میں یہاں یہ بات کرنا چاہوں گی کہ اس ویبینار کے تمام پینلسٹ عورتیں تھیں اور ویبینار کے اہتمام کے پیچھے بھی عورتیں ہی تھیں۔ تمام کام بہت اچھی طرح اور وقت پر ہو گیا۔ میں اپنے معاون اینگرو فاؤنڈیشن کا شکریہ ادا کرنا چاہوں گی، ہمارے تمام معاونین کا شکریہ، WWF، ہینڈز، وسیب ٹی وی، FM 91، نیوز 1، ہمارے میڈیا پارٹنرز ایئر ویو میڈیا سب کا بہت شکریہ. زہیر رشید کا بھی شکریہ جن کا خواب تھا کہ یہ کانفرنس منعقد کرنا. سیمی کمال کا بہت شکریہ اور فاریہ عقیلی جو کہ اس ویبینار کے پیچھے رہیں اور سمین ہدا جنہوں نے تمام ڈیزائننگ کی. آخر میں آپ تمام لوگوں کا شکریہ جنہوں نے ہمیں سنا. ہمیں امید ہے کہ 6th KIWC میں آپ سے پھر ملاقات ہوگی.
Hisar Foundation and Engro Foundation, in association with TV1, News 1, Waseb and FM 91, presents the 5th Karachi International Water Conference webinar series on climate change and pandemic impact on water.